Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, and follow us on social media. So boy, so this is the comic issue that everyone on Twitter is talking about, okay?
Yes.
So we're gonna sort of analyze, maybe explain for some people that are clearly lacking some reading comprehension, because after this comic, people are doing what they always do. They are blaming Blake for Adam's behavior, which people were already doing in the show, but I can't fathom how they're doing it because of the comic, because I'm pretty sure that the comic is pretty fucking clear. Okay, like, people sort of took the last part, which we'll get to, of Blake, like, am I poisoned? And people are like, oh, she's admitting it's her fault. Like, no! She's pondering whether or not it's her fault because she's been abused and conditioned to think that she is the problem with Adam. Like,
you know that thing that was a major plot point in volume 4 and 5
and
that
later
inevitably
he
people
even
forgot
says,
about.
he's like, do you think your love could save me? And like, yeah, a lot of abuse victims do feel like that their love could save
that you want to try to save someone.
Right? And so, no, you weren't supposed to read this and be like, oh, it's Blake's fault. That confirms it. Like, what the fuck? Okay, can you guys not read? Like, how far did you guys get through, like, a basic English class? Like, not even, like, a university level English class. Just, like, any old English class, okay? Because it really bothers me, and we talk about this a lot. It really, the lack of reading comprehension, and I know I say that in reference to RWBY as a show.
A lack of an eye for nuance.
Or even just common fucking sense. Like, I don't think that the comic can be any fucking clearer, but here we are. Alright, so Blake is on the boat in a red coat for some reason.
Which, like, there's only one hood in this show.
But anyway.
Step back.
Oh, that's me. That's me and Miraculous Ladybug. Okay, so yeah, we have to go this way. And so she's pondering, I guess.
Can I just make a question? Sunflower pop. I imagine that's sunflower seed flavored soda.
That sounds like drugs. Like poppy seeds, but instead it's sunflower pop. Anyway,
you know very little about drugs.
I'm just saying.
And should be not be making
so is
qualifying
that a real
statements.
thing? We don't know. But yeah, I like how in the comic too, and this is why we're showing you guys this page, but RWBY, Weiss, Yang, like, Yang is always sort of in bold and there's an added emphasis, which we appreciate here. So this is Menagerie years ago.
Yes.
The night I saw the real Adam Taurus. And so people, I think, took that, oh, the real Adam Taurus is the one that's crying over his friends dying. Yeah. But later in the comic, they make sure that you know why he's actually crying. So I'm like, why are people so stupid? Anyway.
Or later she realized what she thought what it was.
He says it out loud. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. And so you see, like, Sienna is doing things like she's like...
I feel like whenever they throw Sienna Khan, they're just trying to fit her in there to be like, sorry we killed her. I'm sorry, guys.
This is a great shot of
little
Blake in a kimono. So here's the thing. So everybody looks a little younger here, but you'll see in another picture that I'll show you guys when everyone's sort of side by side, they're probably like all 13 and 14.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't age people down for the Adam trailer and they're aging people down in the comic. I feel like they just didn't want to invest in making models, like the models, like younger. I guess, and RWBY has an age problem, so I feel like
I don't know. But is it that she looks young, or is that is she like
No, but I mean, even like later, everybody looks like 13, 14. When they're 16, 17, like in the actual,
But then again, I think it's also the art style just makes people...
but I feel like that this is intentional.
Like, look at how much younger...
This is a flashback, right?
Like, it's only a couple years, but look how much younger Kylie looks. Kyrie looks. Not Callie. Fucking hell. I could never remember.
But I don't know, like, Gira, he has some gray in his beard. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that they really should have showed this. He has something here.
That's just the same shading with, like, Blake has the same shading.
Yeah, I guess so. Whatever. My point is that they should have made the models younger in the Adam trailer, because that removes the confusion. Because people thought that Adam and Ilya, like, just did not age. And that also led to an issue where people were like, oh, Ilya's a pedophile, because Adam apparently isn't, because Adam is older, and so people were saying, oh, Ilya has been 17 forever, while Blake was like 12. And I was just like,
that's questionable.
No, like, I'm just pretty sure that their models just didn't, like, they just didn't invest in that. And so, you know, consider, but yeah, later we'll get to that. Because even Ilya and Adam here, like, they basically look 13, 14. Like, Adam looks like a baby.
It's just,
like, you know what I mean?
I think it's just because he looks different from how we remember seeing him.
I know, so but like, even later I'll show you guys another picture. But anyway, 3 white Fang members were captured by vicious human mercenaries. So this is the first time we're hearing about mercenaries.
That we
like,
later find out.
Capital M, Schnee Dust Company mercenaries.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That the Schnee Dust Company hires people to re-enslave the Faunus? To go after
like
them?
hired guns, basically.
Yeah, to go get the Faunus. Like the Faunus are like their property. Like that sounds a little yikes.
That sounds pretty like fugitive slave act of you, Ruby.
And so, yeah, there's that. The White Fang wishes to acknowledge Gira and Callie Belladonna for their peacekeeping efforts amid this chaos. Why doesn't Sienna have her stripes? Does she not have her tattoos yet?
Maybe. Wasn't there stripes on her arm?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But, like, she has gloves on.
No, but she has shoulders.
Oh. I guess that's
She's not. She has no stripes yet, I don't think.
Oh.
That's interesting, because that may mean that she got her literally got her stripes after she started leading the movement.
That, or they forgot to add it to the
I will
thing.
check very, very quickly to see if Sienna has stripes on her arm. She's the only Sienna con in the world. Yeah, she does have stripes on her shoulders.
Oh.
Huh! Interesting. Character depth.
That, or they
or something.
probably
Or
just
they forgot.
to put
I don't
the
think they
stripes on
forgot.
it.
I'm pretty sure it's... Anyway. I like, so in a screenshot that we didn't take, Blake looks at Adam, she gets scared, and she's like, Mom, can I go home? Right, and so that's what this
I
scene
feel
is
like
leading
one
into.
thing where this doesn't work very well is that a lot of, like, Blake's, I guess, expressions are kind of off. Like, when she looks afraid, she looks more grossed out, like someone vomited in front of her.
I don't know.
Or
I thought
she saw
that
a
her
spider.
scared thing was fine, but anyway, maybe Adam just looks menacing, and she is a little kid. Like, I feel like that... We see Blake later, like, she has a lot of, like, spunk, and Adam sort of snuffed out that light that she had before, but yeah, I don't know. And so he's, like, crying and punching the wall over here.
Like, having a panic attack.
And so then she sees him crying, and she sees the scar. And so this scene is sort of interesting, just because you don't see his face, obviously, but we do see it after. But yeah, you're Gira Belladonna's daughter alone in the streets at night, and so Adam walks her home. And this is sort of like, here's what I'm saying. This comic is supposed to be from Blake's sort of perspective, right? And so it's like, when we saw this, when we were reading, I'm like, oh, that's sort of interesting, because she even says we didn't take a picture, but like, he didn't kiss my hand, he didn't try to
Because she's like the priestess,
get anything,
or like the chief's daughter.
He didn't try to get anything from me, he just walked me home. What a nice young man. And I'm like, so Hunter and I are looking at this, well, is this before Adam was like super corrupted, if he's crying over his friends? Like, the point of the comic is to sort of put you in Blake's mindset, and that sort of intoxicating sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like a lot of people didn't get. Like, people took it as, like, fact when this is Blake's memory and how she remembers it. And she's even making little commentary, but, you know, you don't know what monsters are out in the... Well, Adam says that, but you know what I mean? Like, as she's sort of saying it, she's narrating, and she's narrating, like, if only I knew what I knew now. Like, that should imply to someone who can read that things are not as they seem. So this is the picture I mean. Ilya looks young here, and so does Blake, and so does Adam, and so this, I think,
I don't know.
shows
I
their
think it's
ages
just.
better.
I think it's just because like they use more rounded shapes.
Maybe,
and
but
we
I'm
think
saying
rounded
like
shapes.
they need to be younger. This was like years ago, right? And so it's sort of like, I think that it sort of makes sense, like how they're aging Blake and Ilya, and I feel like Blake, I don't know, she's just so much more expressive, and so Blake came back.
She seems more confident.
Yeah. And so Blake came back,
and I think,
right? Like,
I think
she was supposed to leave because her parents, like, backed out, basically, and she ran away. This is when Blake ran away. And she's sort of talking to him, like, hey, you could go. You know what I mean? You could have a new life. Like, she's almost offering it to him, too, but at the same time, she also left.
I also like how they're behind a waterfall. Like, that's a little bit of foreshadowing.
You're not afraid. Nothing you could do would frighten me. Like foreshadowing. But yeah, look at just, Blake has just so much personality here. And not that she doesn't in the show, but you can see that Adam's abuse has muted her. And it would be really interesting if now that Adam's gone, Blake is more expressive this way. Like, obviously, this is also when she was a child, so maybe she just matured. Yeah. But it would be nice to kind of see Blake smile like that, Hunter. You know, and so even here, like, he looks like a kid. You know what his face reminds me of here? Like a Peter Pan 14-year-old child, like, type
Maybe
look.
he doesn't look as tall for some reason. Like, they don't draw him as tall.
And so she wants a better word. world for the fondest. My family is secure, but so many others. So that's like people's main complaint with Blake is that she's like basically a princess or something of Menagerie. And I do get that, but at the same time, like,
she was
you
naive.
can be in a privileged situation and still want to change the world.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so even though Blake isn't suffering, like, I feel like they're trying to drive that point home too. You know, she still wanted to do something for all the people that she's seen suffer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's something that people also don't get, but that's okay. So yeah, then you see this compilation of scenes. So this is like some sort of White Fang fire pit. They aren't kissing while they're trying to stop this enslaved people. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I think it's kind of implied that they take place like after a fight.
Yeah, like a party. Like, good job, guys. You came home and you saved people.
I don't know.
Party time.
I guess it's just
I
different interpretations.
Like, that's what I would say, because this looks like a bonfire, not this fire. This looks like, oh, the White Fang are back, we're having a party because they liberated
I guess that's just different perspectives, I suppose.
You know what I mean? And, like, you see them, they jump out of an airplane, they're saving these people, they're fighting some bots, unless that's a person. It kind of looks like a robot, we'll just say that. But yeah, and so she kissing. Yes. Yeah. And see, even here, like, again, Adam just looks younger. You guys may be like, why are you obsessed with the ages, Cal? But it's just, that's something that so many people complained about in the Adam short, and so many people used it in the wrong way that now that we get, like, everybody sort of aged down, like, I just feel better that now we can look at the comic and be like, okay, well, they've done it here, at least. Fought together mission after mission. So yeah, Schnee Dust Company mercenaries. Sis. Like,
that's a bit
of a yikes. That's a little awkward. I wonder if we'll see that in volume 7, because we're in the dust mines, or they're in the dust mines in volume 7. So that's sort of interesting that maybe there's some mercenaries lying around. That would be an interesting fight. But yeah, so you see they're saving these people. So I'm like, who's still enslaving these people? You know what I mean?
The
like,
Schnee Dust Company,
I guess
apparently.
so, but it's like, how are they allowed to do that?
And you kind of understand that that's why, because it's at a dust mine.
Yeah.
So you understand that that's why, like, she got so wrapped up into Adam, that she felt that he had conviction.
Yeah, and that they saved people. They were doing something good. Like, Adam did something good. Dust mine 435! Jesus. And so that's what I'm sort of saying. I'm like, how is this allowed, Schnee Dust Company? But it could be, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's possible that these people are like, you know how they say, like, prisons are basically modern-day slave labor, especially in the States? Like, it could be that these people have somehow, like, been arrested by, like, the corrupt police, and their, like, penance or their punishment is to work in a Schnee Dust Company mine, and then the Schnee Dust Company just doesn't let them go after their sentence. Like, false imprisonment.
That and mining operations, globally speaking, aren't always the most ethical things in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if a mercenary just captured you and you were taken to a remote location like a mine, like, the police aren't gonna really come for you, are they? You know what I'm saying?
Not.
But yeah, and so you see, this is kind of why, and I feel like that when it comes to, again, characters like JD or characters like Light Yagami, that is the sort of draw for the female character, especially like Misa. Light killed the man who saved my parents. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, great. Like, and so I feel like that Adam sort of has that same vibe to him, except Light Yagami is much better of a character, but it's okay. But yeah, so Blake goes back home, because she's like, okay, I'm done with them, I'm going back home. Yes. And Gira and Blake are just talking, Gira and Callie are just talking out loud, and they, like, rabid dogs, like, that must hurt coming from your father, the thing that you thought you were doing good.
Yeah.
And then you realize you can't go home.
You think that you won't go home.
Because we were like, why didn't Blake think that she could go home? That's why she tried to go home, and she was like, no, sis. But yeah, the boiler room.
Where? Of what room?
Again, it was Ted. So see, here's the thing. Adam is smiling, and we talked about this before, but it's like, he wasn't crying over he never had any of the sympathy for the people he was around, if that makes sense. Because he says he wasn't crying for them. My only regret, Blake, was the humans. And that our fallen brothers of the White Fang could not have killed 100,000 more. So he doesn't care. And so that's the thing. I'm like, how are people like, oh yeah, it's definitely Blake's fault? Like, no, he was never sympathetic. Even back then, we thought he was because we were seeing it through Blake's lens of what happened.
Do you think he really means that, or do you
yes,
think?
I think.
Do you think he really means that, or do you think at the time maybe it was because he felt he lost
but
people?
He changed his
but
mind.
his mind changed so that now he even like his current thinking pollutes his past actions.
But I think
because that's the thing that happens with
thing.
people.
Adam wants to like
that still doesn't mean it's
humanity.
Blake's fault.
Like he wants to like.
That still doesn't mean it's Blake's fault.
I'm just saying that.
You know.
He wants to Uno reverse card and enslave the humans, and so I'm sort of like, no, I think he wanted to kill people all the way back then.
I guess there's arguments to be made. I
mean, I can see that your interpretation's valid, Hunter, but I don't like. I think that that's a very nuanced interpretation.
I think that these
Does that make
interpretations,
sense?
yeah, it's
like back then Adam could have been sad, but he's been so polluted by his thinking that now he thinks it was always
he can't
like
he can't even connect with his past self
exactly.
that wasn't like how
and
he
I think
was.
that's interesting. The problem is when people are like, see, Adam was always a good guy, and Blake is at fault here.
Yeah, no, they're wrong to think of that.
There's our perspectives, and then there's doing a fucking moon jump over to that way, and so that's what I don't understand, because people are taking these scenes as, guys, look, Adam was always good. Adam felt feelings. Blake broke his feelings. Blake broke his heart, and I'm just like, no. Why? Why are you guys like this? I don't even know what to do with some of you. Anyway, you don't mean that, and so he sort of says, you don't know what I am. Do you think your love is gonna save me? And then she says, were you ever gonna let it? And so it's sort of interesting because, again, we talked about that earlier, but that's just part of the abuse is that you think people think that their love can save them. If I stay with them, they'll change.
Yeah, and
if I
he's
leave them, they won't change.
And he's almost gaslighting her, making it that it's her fault.
Yeah, so that's what I'm like, guys.
But
just
it's
because
not
Adam
her
says
fault.
it's her fault doesn't mean. Do you understand what I mean? I feel
people are
read
buying
that,
into his gaslighting and thinking, oh, he's telling the truth.
And
it's
I'm just
no,
why
not,
are
though.
you guys being gaslighted by Adam?
A fictitious
why?
character.
Oh my god. And so, on one hand, when you put it that way, Hunter, I kind of feel bad for the people that are misreading, but at the same time, I'm like, you guys have to separate fiction from reality and analyze it like you would another literary work. Does that make sense? You're not supposed to believe in what Adam is saying. Oh dear. But yeah, and so that's sort of interesting.
Dude, I don't know if you took a screenshot.
Do you think that this made you a monster? Oh, Adam, it was never your face. So this is weird because this whole scenario that's happening, because they kiss supposedly and then they hug. And then,
but did you get her face afterwards?
Yeah, and so I promise you, Adam, I'll never be afraid of you.
That face looks sarcastic.
I don't think it's sarcastic. I think she's angry, almost. To me, this face is she's just leaving. She knows that she's leaving.
Yeah, what I get from this is yes,
she's not
Adam,
rolling,
I love you.
No, she's not rolling her eyes.
But
though.
she's looking up.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she is.
Her eyelashes are down. Or her eyelid is
down.
But
her eyeballs are up almost.
No, but they're not up. Her lashes are down.
I don't know. She looks like she's, I don't know, she looks sedated. It just looks, it feels weird for me.
I don't know what you're seeing, but it's half of an eye, her eyeball is here, okay? Her lid is coming down like this. Can you guys see?
I don't know.
You understand
is
what
it
I mean?
though?
She's not rolling her eyes, or her eyes would be open. She's giving this sort of I'm done with you face, because she knows that she's leaving by now. She's already decided.
Yeah, but
that
the "I done with you" face is kind of also looks like the sarcastic face.
I don't think so. I think that you're
because I'll never be afraid of you. She's not telling the truth.
Yeah, because she knows that she's running. She knows that she's leaving.
I guess I don't know. It still feels sarcastic to me.
I don't think it's supposed to be.
I don't understand
how you're reading that.
It just looks like she's looking up and
But she's not. Her eyelid is halfway.
But maybe her
I don't know what you mean. Her eyes are this is an angry squint almost.
But okay, I guess maybe I don't know. It just seems muddled to me.
I think the point is that right here, Blake is sort of also putting an Uno reverse card. I don't think she actually meant to kiss him. You know what I mean? She's just sort of convincing him that...
I don't know if they kissed. They could have just stared at each other and then
maybe.
hugged.
And then, with the hug thing, though, I think it's sort of Blake is sort of convincing Adam. She's trying to continue playing along so he doesn't suspect anything. And her expression is only revealed when they hug and you can't see her.
Yeah,
I feel that's
I mean,
sort
that's
of
part of it, that she looks yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean? And
definitely
so I
part
feel
of
like
it,
that
yeah.
she's already decided that she's leaving after
Oh, that's
hearing
true,
Adam
yeah.
say
Yeah, yeah.
all of this stuff. And so she says, is that what I am? Poison? Do I poison everyone around me? And so I'm like, guys, you weren't supposed to be like, oh, yes, Blake. Yes, you do. Like, no.
That was supposed to be negative self-talk.
Intense self-loathing.
And
that
like
is not supposed to be
she's
accurate.
catastrophizing
How
right
do I
now.
think I can save people?
Because she's depressed.
Only to live to see how much worse they become forever knowing me. Like, you guys aren't supposed to be like, yeah, Adam and Yang are worse for knowing you. Like, no. The whole point is that Adam sort of abused her to the point where she believes all of this.
Also,
you know
he's
what I mean?
violent and like it's not Blake's fault or Yang's fault that they got hurt by Adam. It's Adam's fault for trying to kill them.
That's what
It's just a real lack of nuance from some people.
And I don't get it. Like, I don't get how you guys got through school. I don't know. Maybe you didn't. Maybe that's part of the problem. The American education system, Hunter.
We're Canadians.
We're Canadian. That's why we're obviously the smartest RWBY YouTubers, and that's obviously
because
why,
we're the
Canadian ones.
All right.
It's always the one from the UK or. Shout out to that Kaito Dan for having common fucking sense. But yeah, it's always us. You can't do it again, Blake. Can't ever get close to anyone ever again. Like, again, you guys weren't supposed to be like, yeah, that's right, Blake. Don't get close to anyone. Like, no.
Or you can believe that, but please God, never become a therapist. You know, I think it is
never get involved with anyone.
You know, I think it is your fault that your parents had a divorce. I really think they'd be happy if they didn't have you.
Oh, dear. Oh,
like, if you were have you ever seen that movie, It's a Wonderful Life, where the angel has to talk to that guy and be like, you see, the world is better with you in it. They would be terrible, they would do a terrible job of being that angel.
But yeah, so here
no,
we are.
do jump in the lake. And she also bolds Yang again, so it's a little... I liked it. I thought it was funky in parts.
I think that it does a good job, because it does what it's supposed to do. Because even Hunter and I are reading, we're like, okay, well, is Adam, like, good here, or is he not good here? And then you sort of come back around, and on a second reading,
I feel like it would have been better if I wasn't nervous about reading it because of the controversy.
Because of the internet?
Yeah, you know, but... I do think it was good. I understand your point with the look. I still feel a little different about the look, but still, generally, I think it was really well done. I do really enjoy the art. I enjoy the extra moments we get, like Blake coming back and
it's nice to
seeing
see
her
Ilya
family.
existing. Like, it's nice
and
to see
Sienna Khan and Ilya. We get the idea that, you know, Blake and Ilya were friends before Blake got more involved with Adam
and then,
because they
and Ilya must be like... She introduced her to Adam. What if Ilya never had done that? Like, Ilya must have an internal conflict.
Not that we should blame necessarily Ilya for this.
No, I mean, because in her perspective, Ilya's like, oh, if I never did that, they would have never been together, and then I could have been with Blake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she might regret introducing...
From that perspective, she may regret introducing them because if she didn't, they never would have gotten together. That's what I meant, not blaming Ilya. Never blaming Ilya.
Ilya's a good person.
No, I just meant it from the perspective of her sort of broken heart, that she must really beat herself up over introducing them and bringing them together. Feel sad, man. That's like a Hamilton moment.
And it's
except Hamilton was not like
It's
Adam.
interesting that going through this, you get sort of different yet similar kind of interpretations of a lot of the scenes.
Yeah.
I think it's like, it's a very sort of, I think it's a pretty deep, all things considered.
And so that's the problem, is that people look at the shallow part.
Yeah, they're being shallow.
You guys, like, some people are being very shallow in their reading, when I think there's a lot of depth here to take a look at.
We're like, I think that, you know, and there's depth, and that's really enjoyable, but people weren't going through that depth. You're right, they were just sort of skimming through
that really annoys me. Like, you guys can have your criticisms, but at least be able to read when you criticize.
I just
Does that make sense?
I feel bad, because, like, it's a less interesting comic and show if that's how you view it.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, because I'm friendly with, like, the RWBY criticism YouTubers or whatever you want to call them, but at least I know that when they criticize something, usually, like, it depends on who it is, but they're doing it from an intelligent place. Does that make sense?
I don't know, I've seen some of the people.
Anyway, it depends. But, you know, when I sort of see it like that, it's sort of like, okay, well, this person actually read it as in-depth as, like, maybe Hunter and I have read it, and they've come up with this interpretation. You know what I mean? As opposed to, oh, they're just shallowing reading, which is what some other YouTubers that I wouldn't call RWBY YouTubers do, and just some people, you know what I mean? And so it's sort of one of those things where, like, people can have criticisms about Adam, but I wish that they would read the text right, and about Blake, but I wish that people would read the text right first and then criticize. Like, that's the problem, is when I see criticism, but they didn't read it right. And
They
I don't
just
like
have,
the
like,
idea of reading it right,
backward.
because there's interpretations, right? But at the same time, like, there's only so many valid interpretations of something. Like, that's my honest opinion. Like, there's only so many ways that you can sort of read
Or your
it,
interpretation
you know?
or as good as your justification for it, and I can't imagine their justification was
Yeah,
very good.
exactly. Because if somebody else's justification is, well, oh, they actually showed A, B, and C to prove X, right? And you didn't catch that. It's sort of like, yeah, I don't think, I'm not gonna coddle anyone. Like, no, not everyone's interpretations are valid. Some of y'all are fucking idiots, okay? And I feel like that there's always time to learn. I hope that this was educational, but it is very frustrating. And so that's sort of, I guess, my point. I think Hunter explained it better, but I'll just be blunt about it. Some of you are just wrong, okay? I do think that there is a right and a wrong, and some of you are wrong. So, that's it.
The comic was good.
The
You
comic
should probably
was great.
buy it.
That's where we are.
There's a lot of
Buy the
good stuff
comic.
that we didn't show you.
Next is gonna be Weiss.
Yes.
That makes me feel better because Weiss is generally uncontroversial.
Yeah, generally
Weiss
speaking,
is the
pretty
best RWBY character.
uncontroversial.
So it's like nobody complains about Weiss ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we are.
That's a good point. No one really complains about it.
We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and thank you to our wonderful patrons over on Patreon who support the channel. Their names will scroll through now.